Howdy do. So this is a follow-up video in Reason 14 and in this video we will dive into that how to use Reason 14, and of course this will apply to other versions as well, but as I did this project with Reason 14, I wanted to see that how to use my outboard mixing gear and my outboard master channel all together with Reason in the most easy way to do A/B testing. And by the way, if you have now figured out that you would like to actually subscribe to Reason, there's a link below that gives you 20% off for your Reason subscription. So in case you are interested, click the link, take the Reason for yourself and start creating music. Anyway, this video is about audio routing with external mixer. So let's get going. Alright, so I have here now multiple cameras. So one that you can see also desk, and what I have here, you can see the mini rack mixer here. So that's basically what I have here, and then the rest of my analog gear is over here. But let's dive into the Reason and what I have done in order to get that going. Of course, in order to use everything, you need to go into the settings and let's take the settings over here. So in our audio settings, you need to basically edit that, you know, what inputs you will use, and then of course you need to remember what the inputs are. So I have a map of that in Excel that I've done, but I have already remapped this, so I'm not gonna, you know, touch on those. The same is with my outs. So I have also enabled all my outs so that I can have a 16 channel going out to the Chandler mini mix rack, which is here. You see it from this camera, you see it over here. But how did I do that? So let's open a rack, and let's start from the master area. So let's open a rack, and of course now it opens in a single mode, and then now I want to go wide, so I take off the single mode. Then I will basically then stretch it for its full extent, and then soon I'm gonna flip it, and so what I have done. So let's flip it. So here in Audio I/O, you have ports that you know, you have audio inputs and you have audio outputs. In my case, you know, basically everything is going out, and then I have just mapped for the track individually that comes in. So I haven't needed to do the routing over here. But I have needed to do the routing for everything that goes out. And how I did that so that I can actually do an A/B in a very easy way is that for example, like let's take the drum bass first. So let's do that. So let's scroll here a bit. Let's go. Oh, actually we could also take even the vocal bass. So here, what I did with the vocal bass is that actually I introduced the spider audio, and for this I actually did so that it basically goes here and then it splits the audio. It splits the audio from my last effect. Here is actually the drum bass, so you can see that there is SSL, there is a clipper, and then there is a Pro Q. And from the last one, I actually take the audio out, I put it into the spider splitter, or in this case it splits incoming to 2 outgoings. And then one of those pairs I have routed into my audio out, and then the second pair I have routed into my mix channel in Reason, and that I have done for all of my buses. So that's why you see that there is quite many wires going out and going in. So if I scroll over here, we will run into the bass bus where you have the same thingy, and so on and so forth. So what this enables me to do, now we can actually go back from the rack, and we can close the rack, and then we can open up. Actually, before we do that, I'll just double check that I have all my needed audios in a monitoring mode, because I might have missed something, but I have monitoring on for my Muse, I have for my Minimoog, I have for my Juno, I have the monitoring on. Let's go here and see that I have for my OBX8, I have monitoring on. So everything should be like fired to play. And then let's do a small play, but before we do that, now I will show the trick. So now I will open the mixer, and of course now everything plays through basically the standard audio path, so that from these buses it goes basically to the master. But now I mute these buses, and I do that like this, and I think I have muted, and I solo, no, I don't solo it, but I don't unmute the master bus converter that comes from where it comes in. So and now I can hear how it sounds through my analog mixing bus, and you don't hear, but I hear like the VU meters going along the kick drum here, and bam bam bam, and everything goes through now the analog chain, and that's quite easy peasy. After you have done the routings, and if I now want to hear that how does it actually sounds without, I just basically then again undo everything that I did here, and then I'm back on no analog signal chain, just going in Reason digitally directly to the master. So that's a trick that I found out that is quite convenient in Reason 14. And how to route things in rack, and how to do this A/B in the most easy way, so that you don't need to go into the routing of things like every time you want to do an A and every time you want to do a B. So that said, I think this Spider audio splitter is a pretty neat utility in Reason. And it makes life easy, because in some other digital audio workstations, this A/B thing is not that easy. You don't have like good tools. I made myself a thing in Ableton Live for this reason, that I can easily and quickly A/B between the digital lane and between the analog lane, and I can see that how it is sounding, and doing kind of if I want to do an AP with that. Okie-do, so that's about how to utilize outboard gear for mixing. I use this also, and you can see it from there, but here you can actually mix the volumes, so because that will basically send that like I think pre-fader. So it will come out direct. So there is the volume controls that you have in your mixer don't work. So I do the mixing here then, and I mix with the Chandler, and then I sum it in Chandler, and I send it back as you saw. Here I think if I go here, I have here basically the mix part, and yeah, let's actually do single column. So now if I go into that channel, it will basically bring me that channel in my mix rack. So yeah, Anyway, that's about it regarding on this session. Next I will dive into synths. Alright, so that was Reason 14 and how I used it to integrate with my analog mixing console or rack mixer. And in a way it is a console because it's truly kind of like console-ish. If you check out the spec of Chandler Mini Mix Rack. Anyway, hopefully you liked the video. Remember to subscribe for my channel. Next I will dive into Reason 14 and how to use that with your external gear, synthesizers, and how to actually synchronize it with the MIDI clock in the easiest way in a Mac environment. So stay tuned. Till next time, thanks for watching. Bye now.